Hey guys, how are you? All good? Welcome back to the next video. So, we discussed the last video about the HTML. So, in the part of the front-end series, we are going to the next video. So, the next video is CSS. Today's topic is CSS. We are going to discuss the topics selectors. Wait, yeah, we are going to discuss the topics named selectors, box model, flexbox, grid, and responsive design. We are going to discuss how to use the selectors and how to use the box model and what is the box model and what is flexbox and what is grid and what is a responsive design. Okay. In the part of the 12 videos of the front-end development 2026 series, this is the video 2 and next, we go through the next slide. Yeah, here we can see what is the CSS. I said the CSS is today's video. So first of all, we should know that what is CSS. Here, what is CSS means cascading style sheets. What is the CSS? It is a cascading style sheets. What it will do? It will makes the website beautiful and colorful and attractive and add the colors and many things. In simply, we can say that the CSS can style the website or web page and it can lay out the web page and it is responsible, it is responsible to the web page. Okay. Here, what is it by styling? It controls the color, font, and spacing of the layer. So here we can see controls color, fonts, spacing, and layer. Okay, let's example this as a web page of a website. So here it is the image and it is the color, styling is a text, it is font and size and spacing between the letters and the layout of this separate grid and the color of the styling word. Okay, here we can see that it is a layout. So this is the CSS can do. It styles the color. It is styles. It means controls the colors, font, space, layout. Not only this, it can controls and maintain and create many things. We can do that many things with the CSS. Okay. We also discussed that what will happen if the body is present. If the body is not present, when the bones are not there. If the bones are there, what will happen if the body is not there? Okay. Next, layout. Layout means here we can see the layout. It positions every element exactly where you want. Okay. Here, this diagram is there. This diagram I want to place in this position only. So we can see that this diagram is placed in this position only. We can also know that I want to place this element in this exact position. If I don't want it, if I did not recommend it to place on this version, I can remove this and place that anywhere. Okay. In the same position, the responsive design. The responsive design is it adapts your site to all screen sizes seamlessly. So, what is meant by responsive design? Responsive design is nothing but you can design a web page which can fit all through the devices like mobile, laptop, PC, or big TVs like that. So you can see that this is the web page. Let's example this is the web page. If we think this is the web page, I am using this web page in my laptop. So when you use this or when you are watching in the phones or laptops or PCs or any other TVs like big large devices, in this the code must be fit. The code should be written that the web page should be fit in the every device seamlessly. So this is means the responsive design. Okay. Let's example that think of this way. Okay. HTML is like a skeleton and CSS is like a skin and claws. Okay. And JavaScript like a muscles. Why I'm using the HTML as a skeleton I discussed in the previous video. You can watch the part 1 video. And next, here the CSS. CSS is a skin and claws. If only skeleton is there, the skin and claws are not more, or it is not the CSS added to the HTML. You can see that the web page is not looks like attractive and more seeable and more what we see. It's not more attractive. And most of the clients prefer to more attractive colors. You want the most attractive colors, you need to add CSS. You need to use CSS. That's why the CSS is like a skin and cloths. Okay. Next, JavaScript. JavaScript is like a muscles. Okay. Let's discuss about in the next video. Okay. JavaScript is like a muscles. Let's remember this thing. We will discuss this about next videos. Okay. Basic syntax. How the CSS works. The syntax. How the CSS works. Here, the basic syntax of the CSS is here I am using the selectors. Selectors are the three types. In that we will discuss this in the next slides. Okay. First, let's assume this is the basic syntax. Okay. This is yeah. This is the basic syntax. Okay. Yeah. Here, this is the selector and this is the properties of this. Okay. Here, what is in the selector? This is the example. You can see this and understand this. Okay. Here, selector means what is there? Let me see. Yeah. Here, selector means H1. Let me change the flag. Yeah. Here, selector means what is there? Here, H1. Okay. In the same way, here the properties. The left side of the curly braces, the properties and values are placed in the curly braces. Okay. Here, the left side of the values, the left side items are known as the properties. So here, this one is known as the properties. Right. Okay. Here, let me explain you the color and font size and the font weight. These three are known as the properties. And here, blue, 32 pixel and bold. Here, these three is known as the values. Okay. Values. Okay. Yeah. In the same way, this is the basic syntax. Wait a minute. Yeah. Here we can see that this is the basic syntax. Okay. Let's go to the how to add the CSS. How to add the CSS to the HTML. Is this necessary to add the CSS? How can we add? If it is necessary, how can we add? Okay. Here there are three ways. What are they? Here are the three waves. Let me explain. Here are the three waves. First one is inline and second one is internal and third one is external. So here are the three ways. First one is inline. What is meant by inline? The line inside the line. In the name itself, it has inline. You can divide it and explain and understand inline. What is meant by inline? It is in the line. So here H1. This remove the style color. Here H1 is a tag. H1 is a tag. In the tag only there are the style the CSS is added and declaring that the color is blue of that H1 tag in the line one. So in the same line the CSS is added or CSS is used, then that is known as the inline. Okay. Now next, go through the internal one. What is meant by internal? Is the block of code is written. The internal one is the style. Why we use only style? It is the CSS type. When we use the style, the CSS is used. Okay. Here, wait. Now here H1 color blue. Where the H1 color blue is written, you can see that style H1 color blue and closing tag. The style tags are open, and in that style tags, the H1 tag is open and the H1 color is blue is declaring. So in the section or in the block of code, here the style block is created. First point, the style block is created, and that in that style block, the H1 tag is declaring that the color should be blue. Here, this one, okay, the style is declared and H1 and color is blue. So when we use the H1 tags or indicating tags inside the style block of code, then this is known as the internal CSS, and this is the inline CSS. The most used and most important and most currently using CSS is external CSS. The most of the developers are also using this external CSS. Here, what is meant by CSS here? What is meant by external CSS? External CSS means we create another page of the CSS. When we create like a index.html, in that same way, we create the another type of the CSS page. In the CSS page is another created, and then the whole CSS code is written in that CSS page, so that we can identify and we can modify the changes in that CSS page. Okay. Now let's see how the external CSS is added to the HTML. Here it is the link. It is the common way to add the external CSS to the HTML, and the external CSS is only added in the head tag. In the header tag, when the header tag is open, in that only the this common way to add. Okay, the common way to add is link rel style sheets and href equal to styles.css. Here, style sheet is the common and it's not to be changed whether if it is required. Okay. Next, href. Href means when we are addressing the another type of the page or another source from the different page, then we use href. Okay. In the same way, here styles.css. It is not to be used only styles.css. You can create any of the names instead of style. But you need to understand one thing. .css is mandatory so that the compiler should understand that you are writing the CSS code. In that same way, if you are not using the .css, the compiler will not understand that it is a CSS or it is a HTML or it is JavaScript or any other language. So it will not it will not mark it as a language, programming language. It is just like it will mark it as a simple text document. When you run the text document, you cannot run the text document. So the mandatory use is .css, dot whichever programming languages are you using. In the HTML, .html. In the CSS, .css. In the JavaScript, .js. Not a JavaScript totally. Just write .js. In that same way, we discuss about the next video. We discuss about in the next video. Okay. Next, the mostly understandable is external CSS is mostly used in the generation now. Okay. So most of you learn uh, third external CSS. I'm not saying to avoid the inline and internal. You should use or you should learn inline and internal CSS also, but mostly use only external CSS. Okay. Next, let's go to slide. Here is the basic example. Here is the basic example of the inline internal external CSS. Okay. If we write, what I say, if we write any tag, sorry, here are the some mistakes. Okay. Yeah. When we write here, inline means what I say. Sorry. These are totally mistake. Let me explain you what is correct and what is not. Here. You can see this is one, the second one is that this is the internal CSS. It is correct. And here, this is known as the inline. Just it is small mistake. Here, this is inline and here it is external. External, internal, inline. Just a number change. Okay. This one goes to up and this one goes to up. Let me wait. Let me make it as you. Okay. This one will go to here and this one go to here. Okay. This is the small mistake. Okay. Sorry for the mistake. Yeah. When we go to this, here the in what I say, this is the external one. External one means I what I say, it should be in the head tag. It should be in the head tag. What I say, it should be in the head tag. Okay. Yeah. Here head tag what I say, link rel style sheets, href style sheets, dot CSS. I also said you should not only use styles.css, you can use any name, whatever you want. Okay. Next we go to the internal CSS. What I say? In the style tag only, you should use the CSS functions or CSS tags. Okay. Internal and the color green, I declared a text decoration and so on, so much. Okay. Next, the last one. Here, what I say, the inline is here and the external is here. So, inline. What is mean by inline CSS? In the line, you use the color. Okay, then that is known as the color. Sorry, then that is known as the inline CSS. In that same way, these are the three types. These are the three types of the inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. Oh, sorry, I did not explain the inline CSS example. Here are this. Right. Let me make it. So, yeah, here. This line. Line 14. Style paragraph tag is open. In that paragraph tag only, style and style color is blue. Style color is blue. I am indicating that I am declaring that the color is blue. The color should be blue. In that same way, the styles.css. Yeah, style is color blue. Okay, this is the three types of the inline, internal, and external. So let's go to the next page. We previously discussed like basic syntax. When we discuss the basic syntax, then there we use the selectors. Okay, there are nearly six types of selector, and mostly we use only three types of selectors. What we use mainly here. First one, we use the element selector firstly, and second one we use the class selector. Okay, and third one we use id selector. First, second, third. Okay, what we use? First, second, and third. Here we the developer mostly focus on the and mostly use only the this one first, id selector, id selector, and secondly they concentrate to use the class selector. Okay, and next, the leastly the most lesser most less they use is element selector. Okay, here is this. Yeah, you can see this. The specificity order, highest to lowest. The most highestly used is ID selector, and the next is highest use is class selector, and the next highest use is element selector. Okay, in that same way. First of all, element means you can directly add like a p or h, whatever tag you are using. That tag is open, and curly braces is open, and that in that you can use anything at all. Okay, all p tags on the page. If you use p tag, how many p tags are created, then the all p tags color is changed, all the p tags background is changed. Whatever code is written in this p tag, this will work on the p tags in the page. Okay, next go to this. Here, yeah, card. Here, what is this? Card dot. You can see this dot. Okay, here there is no dot, no hash, no nothing, anything. Here in the class tag, we can see that it is a dot card. Dot card. Here, what it means dot card? Simply, dot card means it is declaring that one thing. Dot. You can simply understand when the dot is started from the name in the selectors, then we can simply understand the class. Class is indicated as, sorry, when you want to use class selector, we simply use dot and next to the name. Okay, dot and next the class name. In that same way, all elements the class code. Okay, in the same way, the id one, the id name, sorry, the id symbol is hash. The id symbol is hash. Wait. Okay, the id symbol is hash. Okay, the id symbol is hash. Here, the hash is used in front of the header name, so that we can use and create anything. Okay, with when we use hash in front of the header name, then the CSS can understand you are using the ID selector. In that same way, descendant. The most usually is these three, and you just need to remember that these three also have. Okay, what is the fourth one? Descendant. Now, when we use now, then that it will be used. Now, okay. Next, now a. What it means? All a tags inside the nav. Okay, in that same. Here, pseudo. Pseudo means what? A colon hover, and a when mouse hovers on it. Hovers means it's simply a, when we go to the click button. Let's think it is a button. Okay, here it is a click button. Okay, when the mouse, let's think it is a mouse. Okay, mouse. Okay, let's think it is a mouse. Okay, when I go to this button, surround, when we go to the this button, this will hover. It means it will animate, and this will actify, like it will do something. You can attract, you can go through that. What I simply say means, you can identify that change on the button. Okay, in that same way. So hover means that one. Okay, next, combinator. Combinator means what? You need not to declare the div tag. First one, the div tag. Wait a minute. If you creating that, okay, let's see this. Here, there are much more things. Header p tag is created, and that in that another p tag is created. You need not to use p tag. You can use p and greater than another p. It means what it can do. First, it go to the first p tag, and then it go to the next p tag. Okay, so that we use, when we use more than one, it is known as the combinator. Okay, direct p children of a div. Okay, in this example. Okay, let's see the example of this. Yeah, see here there are six types. Okay, I explained you the six types. First one is the CSS, sorry, element selector. See, first one is element selector. There is no any symbol in the front of the P tab. Okay, then it is known as the element selector. When we go to the second one, there is dot in front of the special class name. So this is known as the class selector. When we go to the third one, here it is a hash symbol in front of the unique ID name. Here hash name is known as the ID selector. Hash name is known as the ID selector. Here, when we see anything in front of, there is no anything in front of the element, then it is known as the element selector. And the second one is there, if the dot is there in front of the any name, then it is known as the class selector. If the hash in there in front of the name, it is known as the ID selector. In that same way, there are container div and sorry, container this sorry, this is the another div. Okay, container div and also this it is pseudo. And I said this is three are not more important than these three. So mostly focus on these three. Okay, these three are mostly important for every person. So you need to learn these three most correctly and most understandingly. Okay, these three are most leastly used. Okay, if they if you are learned, not matter. If you are didn't learn, this is also not matter. But you should remember that it is also there as a selectors. Okay, next go to the slide. Yeah, the box model. The first concept beginners get wrong. What is meant by the box model? When I ask to someone, they spell it wrong and they understand it like a wrong thing. Okay. First of all, the box model means it has four types. Sorry, in that there is the four types. Okay. Here, the first one is content and the padding and the border and also a margin. See, here the every name has the special thing or it can do the special ability to the text or something on the web page. Okay, when we use content, sorry, when we use content here, actual text, when we use content, what does the content contain? First of all, you need to understand that what does the content contain? It contain the actual text or images or children or okay, this may contain this type of the parameters. Not only this may contain anything. Okay, I am just giving these three as example. Okay, now yeah. Next, here this will set a width and height. This will set a width and height. It means it can declare the actual text. Let's assume that content is a text content. The content word is a text. Okay, I want to increase the width of this word. Then I use width and I increase height. If I want to increase the height of this word, then I use height word and I increase the height. So that with this content, I can use in this content there are two types. There are two sorry, there are two where what we can use. Here width and height can be used. With this you can increase the word size, word width and we can increase the height of the word. Okay. In the same way, the second one, the content is completed. And next, the padding. What is my padding? Space inside the border. Let's assume space inside the border. Okay. Let's let's make a simple example. Okay. CSS, and this is the box. So here the box here is there now. This box is known as the border. The lines of the box is known as the border. I'm explaining both. I'm not explaining only padding now. I'm also explaining the both of the padding and border. Here the box length. Here the box sides are drawn is known as the border. Here we can see visible line around the element. Visible line around the element. It adds the width, style, and color. We can add the width of the border, and we can add the style of the border, and we can add the color to the border. Okay. I completed the content and the border. Okay, understand? Next, what is the padding? The space inside the border. Here, the CSS word is this much. And what is this space content? And what is this space occurred? And why this much of space is occurred? This is the magic of the padding. This is the magic of the padding between content and border edge. Okay, what I say, I completed the content and I completed the border. So here, what I am saying, it is between the content and border edge. It means you can see the content border is this and the border edge is this. This is present in the between of the border and content edges. Okay, so that this is known as the space inside the border. Just remember that content means the text or images, whatever you added, that is known as the content. And next, if the space inside the border is there, it means the padding. And the border means the visible line around the element, whatever you typed or whatever you inserted or whatever you created. Okay, that is the border. Next, the final one, the margin. What is meant by the margin? My padding is completed. Next, what is meant by the margin? Space outside the element. Simply understand one thing. You understand, or you can simply remember that one thing like a C P B M. Okay, you can just remember these words, these four words. Okay, C means content, padding, border, margin. Content, padding, border, margin. Okay, content, padding, border, margin. Okay, when we go through the content, it includes the text, images, children, as I said. And what is in the padding? Space inside the border. What is in a border? Visible line, visible line around the element. See, the padding and the margin looks like a same, but the first one is space inside, and the second one is space outside. See, you can see space outside the border. Okay, space inside the border. Here you can see space outside the element. So you can understand simply one thing. The margin is outside. The last one means you can see out to it. You can conclude that it is a final one. So that final means what? It is going to the out. It is going outside finally. It means margin means outside and padding means inside. P in M O P in P I M O PMO. Just remember this P I and M O P padding in and margin out. Okay, padding in, margin out. Just remember padding in, margin out, like that. Always add to your CSS before, after. Okay, like that. I already discussed in that my previous video. I finally, when I'm completed, I will try to upload that videos on the top side of the video, when I'm explaining, you can see that the box, you need to explain, you need to understand what I'm saying in completely as a single video. I recorded that, I uploaded that. You can see that I tagged that video on the upside. You can see and learn and you learn more. Okay. Next, yeah. Here you can see the example of the border, margin, padding, and fat. Yeah. Let's see that. The examples of here you can see that simply like border, padding, and the margin. When you see the content is not included, first you need to understand one thing. The content, what is directly not used, it will indirectly use. Okay. Here, indirectly the content is not used. Sorry, directly the content is not used. But indirectly, they use the word background color and it is indicating that it is a white and it should be white. Okay. In that same way, first of all, content. Content is white. So the content is clear. And next one, padding. What do you mean by padding? What is a padding? PIMO. PI means what? Padding in. Padding in. Okay. PI. Padding in. Okay. Padding in means what? Space inside the border. Okay. Let's assume this. Okay. This is the border. And okay. This is a border. Okay. Border of the box. Here, the space. This is the space, you know. Okay. This is the element. And this is the space inside the border. So it will be the padding. So padding is declared as the 15 pixel. Okay. In that same way, the next one is padding is clear. And next, the border. The border is 2 pixel, solid, and the color variant. So what is meant by this 2 pixel? Why all the other all is just like a 1 pixel, 2 pixel, just indicating the size of that. Why you indicating the size and the color here? It means just remember one thing. Here, 2 pixel means the size or the width or the height. Simply you can say the size of the border. Okay. The size of the border is 2 pixel and the solid. Solid means the solid color, not a variant like a, you can see that some shading color is there. And also see here you can see that this is the border. This is not a pure white. The solid color is this. The pure white solid color is this. This you can compare this and this. This is the shaded one. So you need not want to any shaded one. You just need a pure solid color. Then you use solid color here. In the same way, here there are 555. It means simply you can add any color like green, blue, yellow, orange, like that something, anything. Any color you can add. In the same way, the border means what? I decided I tell you. Okay, next. The last one is margin. What is meant by margin? The space outside the element. The space outside the element. And also you can see that the space outside the border. In the same way, here the border ends. And that above of that there is a margin in that same way. Okay? Understand? I completed. Yeah. The content cleared, padding cleared, border cleared, and the margin also cleared. Okay. Next, the next topic is the display types. The types of the display, how elements behave in layout. Okay. Let's see. This is a layout one. First, understand this is a one layout. This is layout. This is layout. Or this is. Let's assume that this is all the layouts. Okay. Here you can see that there are six display types are there. Here there are six display types are here. The first display type is display block. What is the block? It is blocking the line. Simply understand, the block means blocking the line. Okay. See here you can understand by the sentence takes full width and starts on a new line. See, when I entered anything and I entered anything takes full width. It means when we are typing anything on the messages or something else, when we enter, then it go to the next line. And then we enter, then it go to the another line. The middle line, what you have entered, anything, what you have not entered anything, and it leaved emptily, then it is known as the display block. The whole line will be blocked and it will go to the next line. Simply you can understand, it will leave the line and it go to the next line. Okay, that is the point in the display block. You can understand that if this is a line, this is completely blocked. There is no space at all. In that another things you can see that there is some space. In this there is no space as well. In that same way, here you can understand. Here, when we see the display inline, here you can see the display inline. Here you can see the display inline where the sentence is saying that only as wide as content flows with text. Only as wide as content flows with text. Here it will only work as long as the content. Let's assume display inline as a one content. So it will work only as long as the content. Like default for span means what? It gives us some space. A hyperlink, strong or bold. Okay. In that same way, it will use the lines in between like this. Okay. In that same way, you can understand. See that here. Next, this one is completed and this one is also completed. Next, display inline block. Inline flow but can set width and height. Inline block. What I say here, first it will block whole the line. It is saying inline block, inline block. Here, when we use inline block, when we entered anything in the line, if we use like okay, I entered display inline block, then this whole run is blocked. The whole another space, the remaining space is blocked, so that there is no other information is stored. If you want to store any other information, you should go to the next line. In that same way, here default for button and image. What is my default for button and image? It is mostly defaultly used for button and image. When you see the button is there, let's assume the button submit button or a reset button is there. Okay, reset button. Okay, something the button is there here. The other side there is no another button. Might be it is submit or reset button or mostly two three buttons around there. Not more than that. The remaining space should be remainingly leave freely. In the same way also in this image, the other side should be leaved. There is no other information should be stored. In the same way, okay. Next, inline block completed. Next, display flex. 1D layout, one dimensional layout. One dimensional layout means it use only one thing, whether it is a rows or columns. Most used. Okay. The display flex is mostly used. It simply means you can use only whether you want rows or columns, not both. If you want both, you should use the grid. You should, okay. If you want to use grid, it is a two-dimensional layout. Okay, it will rows and columns together. It will works with the rows and columns. Okay, if you use 1D layout, if you use display flex, then it will use rows or columns. Only one thing. If you want both of them, then you can use grid. Like simply this is the syntax. Display flex and display grid. Okay. Like that. Okay, this one is completed. Next, display none. What is mean by none? There is no value. There is nothing. Anything is not nothing. Okay. The element is hidden, removed from layout. Like you enter something and the and that it is a element. The element is hidden and it is removed from layout. It is removed from a layout. Okay. And you can use the basic syntax like yeah, display none. It is simply you can known as a display is none means simply you can understand that it is invisible. The invisible. Okay. The six are completed. You can understand. If you not understand, you can go through my next video. You can go through my explained video. Go back to my video and play again and see until you understand. Or whether if you not understand them also, then I will tag my video. If I make a video on this, then I will tag on the on this video. You can watch that. Okay. Let's see the examples of this display types. Yeah, here are the types of this. You can go through this. You can take a screenshot of this. Yeah. Okay. Next, position controlling element placements. Position controlling element placement. Position controlling elements placement means it simply it is used mostly. Okay. It is used mostly. Okay. When we use the position static word in the CSS, simply it includes default, normal document flow, top left have no effect, top and left no have effect. All elements by default. It will did not change anything in the web page. It will be default. What you have kept changes that will be defaulted. No changes will occur. Okay. Next, position relative. What is position relative? It moves relative to its normal position. Let's include, let's assume if the normal position is there, it moves relative to that position. Original page is preserved. Okay. Let's see. If the position relative, this is the position. The normal position is preserved, but it will go through, it will move to relative to the normal position. This is the normal position. It moves to the normal position. The original position is preserved. Okay. In the same way, the position absolute. Position absolute. The position absolute means removed from flow. It will not be in the flow of the above one. When we use this, the position relative to nearest non-static parent, it will not preserve the original space. Original space. It is removed from flow. It is completely different from relative and absolute. The absolute is completely different from relative. You can just simply understand. Here you will see that relative nudging elements parent for absolute children. Okay, it is a parent for absolute children. Okay, here drop downs, tooltips, overlays. We can use the absolute for this. Okay, drop downs like that. Here the position fixed. Simply you can say fixed means it is fixed on that place only. Stays in that place, stays in a place relatively to viewport. ignores the scroll. When we scroll this here, when we go through the website, here something like a phone symbol or like anything, ask something text or chart bot like that. Whatever the beside of the screen is there, when we scroll like that, it will not move this. It will go through the screen. Whatever you move, this will print on this place only. Okay. Then we known as the fixed position. Mostly used in the sticky navbars and floating buttons models. Okay. Next, position sticky. Acts like normal until scroll threshold. It sticks in place like table headers, section, nav, and page to browse. Okay. Let's go through the example. Here, this is the example, basic example. Go through this. Whether you want, you can take a screenshot. Okay. Next, here is the Flexbox layout. 1D, like 1D, one dimension. What I say 1D means, simply you can understand. 1D means is nothing but whether you use only a row, whether you use only a column. Okay. Here, you can see. Yeah. Container. Dot container. Dot means class container. Yeah. Display flex. Flex is used and justify content center and align items also center. Here, horizontally and vertically used, but different names. Okay, understand? The container properties. Okay. Flex direction. Whether you use only rows or only columns or only row reverse. We can use row reverse also. Justify content means we can use only these four. It means we can use only one, but there are four types. We can use flex start, or we can use center, or we can use space between, or we can use space around. In the same way, the align items also there are four. We can use any one of these: stretch, center, flex start, flex end. In the same way only, the another one flex wrap. Flex wrap means now wrap, and wrap reverse also there. In the same way only. Visually, you can understand this. Okay. Here, when we use flex start, there will be like this, like small differences. Okay. When we use sender, it will go through the sender. It will go between the web page and it will in the center. But in the flex end, when we use flex end, when we use flex end, when we use flex end, there it will be the mostly at the end of the page, and then we use space between it. It will be in the between. In that same way, you can understand it. How much item grow to fill the space, and flex strings means how much item strings if needed. Flex basis means default sized board. Like that, you can understand. Go through the example. This is the example. You can go through it and take a screenshot of that. Yeah. Next, the other one is CSS Grid. It is a 2D layer. We can use both rows and columns in that same way. This is the basic example. Okay. We use the grid, and the grid template colors is known as the repeat 3 comma 1 FR. 3 comma 1 FR means there are three frames, and that in the three frames we are using only one frame of the place. And the grid template rows are the automatically whatever the size is, and gap is 16 pixel. Okay. Let's go through the example. Okay. Header grid column 1 4, 1 by 4th of the place. 1 by 4th of this place means you can understand this. Okay. Next, sidebar grid column and a grid row 1 by 2 of a place and 2 by 4th of a place. This is the visual layout. You can go through this, and also you can go through the my video, and it will be coming here like this. I think so. So you can go through that one so that you can deeply understand what the grid is. Okay. Next, this is the basic example for that. You can go through it. We can also take the screenshot of this. Okay. Next. Yeah. Here, the another one, and the most importantly, firstly, I discussed about the responsive design. In the same way, the responsive design is simply you can understand. If we go to the phone has specific size. Okay, like when we go to the laptop, there has specific size like 13 inches, 14 inches, 15.4 inches, like that. And that in also desktop and large devices also. Okay, here we use mobile, small mobile. Okay, here that is less than 640 pixel. Less than 640 pixel mobile is there, and the mobile large. It means more than 640 pixel plus. Okay, and the tablet 768 pixel plus, and desktop 1024 pixel plus, and large devices 1280 pixel plus. When we want to include that, we can see this is the syntax. Yeah. See, we can see this is the syntax of the at the rate media minimum width is less than. Okay. Here we can see when we are using this, this is the syntax for mobile first. When we are using this, okay. See, when we are using tablet, the pixel is 768 plus. Okay. Here you can see at the rate media min width is equal to 768 pixel minimum, and more than it can be anything. Okay. In that same way, desktop. Okay, and also grid. Okay, and also for launch. This is the basic example for that. We can go through it. You can also take a screenshot. Yeah, see here you can see the mobile is less than 480 pixel, and the mobile large is the 480 to 767 pixel, and this will be the size of it. And tablet is 768 to 1023 pixel, and the desktop is 1024 to 1439 pixel, and the large devices is ultra wide devices. You can more than 1024 pixels. Okay, in that same way. Next, what are we discussed in this video? We discussed about selectors and specificity. What is the specificity? IDs, class, and elements. Okay, these three is the specificity. Specificity. Okay, firstly ID come first, and second class, and third is elements. The second one, the box model. What is the box model contain? It contains the four tags. First one is content, and second one is padding, and third one is the border, and the fourth one is the margin. Okay, and display type. Display type. What does the display type contain? It contains six types, but we mostly use block and inline, flags, and also a grid. We use mostly these four. Okay. Next, when we go to the Flexbox for one-dimensional layout, we can use only rows or columns, not both. We can use only one of the rows or columns. Okay. Here we can use justify content or align items, centered anything in two lines. Okay. CSS grid in for 2D layout. Here 1D layout, here 2D layout. What is my 2D layout? We can use the rows and columns simultaneously. Build full page layouts without hacks. Okay. Understand? Next, responsive media queries. Mobile first approach, use mid-width breakpoint. Okay. First one. What is the first one? Mobile first approach. First mobile first approach. You should check the mobile what you are creating a web page. That web page should be fit in the mobile first. Okay. Use min-width breakpoints to progressively enhance the larger screens. Okay. First you use the min-width breakpoints so that we can upgrade that for the large screens also. Okay. This is the final of the video. How did you like the video? Rate the video from 1 to 5. Okay. Next video is about the JavaScript, and what we are going to discuss is variables, functions, what is X6 plus, and DOM and events. Okay. Thanks for watching till the end. Like, subscribe, comment. Meet you in the next video. Bye bye.